Hey squad, it's Kelly. Welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about our vacation mistakes. Okay, so if you don't follow along with my Instagram, I suggest you do it. It's at Yard Sale Squad, and you'll have a lot more details to go along with these videos whenever I post them. So before I get into my tips, let me give you a little bit of backstory. My husband and I decided sometime earlier on in the pregnancy that we wanted to take another baby moon. For our first baby moon, we went to Hilton Head and we had an amazing time. It was just the two of us. Obviously we didn't have any kids yet, and we ate great food. We stayed at a resort. It was just really nice. Well, this time we decided that we might want to fly somewhere. I sort of had the itch to fly. I hadn't flown anywhere in years, and same with my husband, so we decided that we would travel to St. Augustine. So let me preface that by saying that there were several new experiences on this trip, several things that we had not done before, and I'll touch on those later. So anyway, we decided to go to St. Augustine, just the two of us, and leave our son behind with grandparents. And so there's several things that I just want to kind of include that I think could maybe help somebody else, and I know will help us in the future. All right, so my number one tip is to make a budget. I tend to be one of those people that rather than making a budget, I just get whatever the basic needs are. I just try to find them at the lowest price possible. Hence why I'm going to thrift stores, why I do yard sailing. That's just my personality. That's great, except if you don't have a budget, you don't know what your ideal spending amount is. And so what that ends up meaning is anything extra, like activities or a really expensive nice meal, those things feel over the top and almost unnecessary. But when you spend 4 or 5 days in a place that is very far away from home and everything is all new, it's nice to be able to have this lump sum that this is our fun money and this is what we can use it for. Instead, we wound up feeling like every time we found an activity, it was like, wow, you know, that's a pretty good chunk of money. And instead of doing the activities, we wound up sometimes sort of just twiddling our thumbs or trying to find things that we could do for free, which a lot of times I was unable to do physically. I'll touch on that later too. But yes, so make a budget, and in that budget, itemize it out and say, what is a priority to you? How much do you want to eat out? How much do you want to spend on activities? How much do you want to spend on treats outside of meals? All of these things are things that I think would have added to the quality of our vacation. All right, the next one is research the place where you're going well and choose wisely based on where you are in your journey of life. And what I mean by this is we picked a place that was largely a walking town, and at the time I was, I think, just shy of my 3rd trimester being pregnant, and I was physically unable to do a lot of things due to fatigue and heat. It felt kind of like a letdown and almost embarrassing that I wasn't able to do these things. So I first of all want to say, for whatever the reason, if you have some sort of physical disability or some physical limitation that is keeping you from doing something, do not feel embarrassed about it. I am preaching to the choir here. I had a pretty good meltdown one day of just feeling sorry for myself and feeling like, why can't I do these things that I want to be able to do? Most days I wound up coming back and we would take an afternoon nap And that's the nice thing about vacation, is it can be whatever you want it to be. I touch on that in my vacation from home video. I'll link that here in the cards if you haven't seen it. But vacations can be whatever you want them to be, and they can be as jam-packed or as relaxing. It's whatever you want. But I wish that I would have thought a little bit more to make some accommodations for my physical limitations on this trip. All right, so this part I really couldn't help, but it ended up being a really difficult part of the trip for me. And that is that the whole point of this trip was to have some quality time with just me and my husband. And it was supposed to be to just sort of have a break, to be kid-free for a little while, and then kind of to come back and, you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder kind of thing. I think that whatever you choose to do in that realm is fine. If you don't like going on vacation without your kids, that's totally fine. If you like going on vacation every once in a while, just you and your significant other, that's fine. You know, just do what you feel. So we had planned this trip, and we had planned this time just for the two of us, and the part that was difficult for me was I was working that whole week. I work a few different jobs, and sometimes it's sort of spontaneous. I never know how much I'm going to work, and it just so happened that that week I worked 8-hour days every day, and then we sang for the wedding of a friend of ours on Saturday, and then we flew out Sunday. And so we were supposed to be going on this getaway to have some time just for the two of us, and I missed my son because I hadn't seen him much that week. And so that made it really hard, because every time we saw a baby in a carrier or a child walking around in St. Augustine, you know, it just made me a little bit brokenhearted. And that, combined with the lack of planning activities, sometimes it just really felt like, what are we doing here? Why am I not back home with my son? So that's really personal, but I just wanted to share it to encourage some of you that sometimes stuff happens that you really can't control. I will say that one thing we did right is, if you are going on a trip and you're not taking your kids with you, have that person who you're leaving your kids with, if you're leaving them with a grandparent or family friend, see if they'll meet you at the airport. And then your kids can pack up with you, they can go to the airport, they can say bye to you at the gate, and then they can watch you board your plane. That was really fun for us. I know not all airports you can get past to be able to see. This was a smaller airport, and so my son actually did get to see us board the plane, and we got to wave to him as we were boarding, and that was just a really special memory for us. And then he got to see us take off, and he's into anything with wheels, motors, whatever, so that was so special for him, and that's a special memory. So of all the things that went wrong this trip, I would say that that was one that went right for sure. Real quick, touching on Airbnb. I'd heard mixed reviews. If you've ever looked at flying Airbnb, at least in our experience, there was no comparison in the price as far as them versus anyone else. Most of the reviews that we heard were good, so we decided that we would try it. I know that there are exceptions to the rule, and I'm sure there are some people that have had negative experiences, but we have nothing but positive things to say. It really felt just about like a normal airline. It was just a smaller airport. Everything moved just fine. They offer snacks that you can buy. Our flights were on time, both leaving and landing. It was just a great experience all around for us. Okay, and the last thing that I really want to stress is to really pay attention when you're booking your Airbnb or wherever it is that you're staying. We stayed at an Airbnb, which we absolutely love. But the one thing that I will say is that I didn't pay enough attention to the amenities in the kitchen. And what I mean by that is, it just said kitchenette. I could have looked a little further to see what that meant. But I didn't really pay that much attention. It was a good price. It had a kitchenette, so I thought that was fine. And the older you get, I think you realize more and more the value of cooking a little bit, or eating something simple at your Airbnb at least one meal a day so that you're not spending so much money eating out. This particular Airbnb was only equipped with a mini fridge and a kitchen sink. There was no microwave, there was no stove, and so we were really very limited. We ate most of our breakfasts at the Airbnb. We were able to do cereal and pastries and fruit and that kind of thing. But I would love to have cooked 1 or 2 meals just so we weren't spending so much money eating out. And it gets to a point in a vacation where you've spent so much money on food that you just kind of dread spending on the next meal, because you really are just spending on food all of the time. So pay close attention to the amenities in your Airbnb and make sure that it's what you want out of your vacation. I remember growing up getting frustrated with my parents. Why are we cooking on a vacation? You know, this is our time to go out to eat. And now the roles are reversed and I'm the parent, and I'm thinking, wow, I understand. You know, it's funny how life works like that. But yeah, I totally understand now the point of cooking on vacation, and next time I will review the amenities a little bit closer so that we can make the vacation what we want it to, and then we can allocate that money towards an activity instead of towards a meal that's marked up a little bit because it's eaten out. Alright guys, so those are my tips. I hope you find them helpful. I hope you don't make the mistakes that we have made. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you have anything else to add. I'm always looking to make traveling and vacation as simple and as at ease as possible while also staying within a budget. Alright, so I'll talk to you later guys. Bye.